Hello everyone, it's Dr. Sam. I'd like to welcome you to my eyeclarity podcast. This is a show that offers cutting-edge information on how to improve your vision and overall wellness through holistic methods. I so appreciate you spending part of your day with me. If you have questions, you can send them to hello@drsamberne.com. Now, to the latest eyeclarity episode.
Welcome everyone to So What Were You Wearing? I'm your host, Heidi Townshend, and we are so excited today. We have a very special guest who's a dear friend of mine, and his name is Dr. Sam Byrne. He's joining us today all the way from New Mexico. However, he is in Los Angeles at this time. So Sam, welcome to our show, and please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hey, Heidi, thanks for having me on your podcast. So I am Dr. Sam Byrne, known as Dr. Sam, and I have a health and wellness brand. I'm a holistic eye doctor and a social media influencer, entrepreneur, teacher. And yeah, I'm in Los Angeles this week doing some promotional work, some filming, seeing your brother, who I love, and seeing you. We've just been having a great time. And yeah, I'm really excited to be on the show and interested in what you're going to ask me.
Fantastic, Sam. We are so excited to have you here. And my brother is excited that you're on the show as well. So, we know Joshua. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
So this show, I know you do a lot of different shows and you are so out in the public eye right now, which is fantastic. And this one in particular, called So What Were You Wearing, is about how you met the love of your life. And so that's where we're going to be going today. And let me start off with just a very preliminary question, but so important for us as the viewers to kind of get a sense of what was going on in your life when, at that time. So even taking us back a few years, take us back as long as you wish, but just give us the context of your life during those circumstances before you tell us how the two of you met.
Well, it was a pretty turbulent time. I mean, there was a lot of transformation going on. So I had moved to New Mexico maybe like 2 years before, and I was actually going to get married to somebody else. And it's very humbling to say that she called off the wedding. And that was really, at the time, shocking and painful.
That must have been devastating.
It was. Yes. But what happened is that I saw it, now not right then, but maybe about a year later.
Yeah.
I saw that it was the biggest gift that she gave me, because if I had married her, we would have been divorced in like 6 months. It was just one of those relationships. It was a long distance relationship, and she was in Canada and I was in New Mexico. And anyways, so I was processing that, and I was in a men's group, so I had a group of guys, and we'd meet once a week, and they helped me quite a bit. So, anyways, what happened is that summer I went to a dance camp in Maine, and it was a lot of great fun, and it was getting me out of the grief that I was in. And, I'm a pretty fun guy. So doing a lot of contact improv and a lot of dance, different kinds of dances, and, meeting a lot of really cool people. So that I was coming off that, and I came home from New Mexico at the end of the summer, and I had a patient of mine, her name was Winnie Bauer. And Winnie said to me, "Hey, Sam, I'm having this birthday party. Why don't you come? Be really great, So I had a friend of mine who we were just very softly dating. And so I said, Winnie, would it be okay if I, bring a date? And she had like a strange look on her face, like, well, I guess that would be okay. And there was a whole agenda going on that I didn't know,
Oh,
which I found out later. And so I'll tell you what that was. So Winnie had a really good friend who was her name was Charlie, and Winnie wanted to fix us up, but Winnie was a patient of mine, and she really respected boundaries. And so she said, "Oh, I'll invite Sam to the party, and then I'll
never.
introduce Charlie to
Mhm.
Sam." But I was with another date, and of course, I didn't know anything.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah. So I show up at the party
With your date, with the
with
date.
my date. I
Okay.
had no
Okay.
idea, you know.
Okay. So tell us where is this birthday party? Is it at your friend
Oh,
Minnie's house or
yeah. So my friend Winnie married this really cool guy, Richard,
okay.
and he'd killed it in business. He was an entrepreneur. So
Wow.
he had this amazing house in Tesuque, New Mexico, which is just north of Santa Fe, and it's kind of one of the wealthiest areas of Santa Fe.
Sure.
So it was in this amazing house, palatial house, and I always loved going there because Richard and I were kind of friends, friendly. And so I, drive up and there are all these cars. It's a big party and it's a birthday party for Winnie.
Mm.
And so I walk in and my date, she says, "Oh, I'm going to go get a drink." And there's this really nice lady sitting on the couch, nice woman on the couch. And I walk over to her and I start tuning into her energy. And I said, wow, this person is really nice. And we just kind of connected right away. It was my future wife, Charlie. So
Oh,
here I'm kind of weird because I'm with, my date, and it's like,
sure.
oh wow, I'm really connecting with this woman. She's beautiful. And
Mm.
so my date comes in and I said to Charlie, I gotta go be with my date. And Charlie knew this person. So
Mhm.
the setup was everybody knew that I was
This
gonna be
was a,
set up,
oh no,
except me.
that's you. How about your
I,
date? Now, did your date
no,
pick
she
up
didn't.
on it?
She didn't.
Okay.
Well, not at the beginning, but
Yeah.
I think she started because then what happened was, I went into the kitchen and I was getting some food, and
Yeah.
Charlie came in, and so we had this like this magnetic connection.
Yeah.
We're visiting, and she says to me, I'm a professional musician, and I'm gonna be doing a concert tomorrow night at the Inn at Anasazi Hotel. I would like you to be my guest. And I'm going, wait a minute. She's inviting me on a date. I'm on another date. And Winnie's like in the corner going, oh God. So I said, yeah, definitely. I'm not serious with my friend. It's just,
Mhm.
she's just a buddy of mine. So, so that's what happened. So the next night I went to her concert, and then we had tea afterwards, and that was the end of story. We ended up hooking up and getting married, and I've been with Charlie for over 25 years and going strong.
Wow, Sam. So tell us, I mean, not that obviously the energy is what connected the two of you, but
Hmm.
do you remember at all what you were wearing on that
Hmm.
night?
Hmm.
Can you
Well, I
just,
remember what I was wearing, and I remember what Charlie was wearing. So first, what she was wearing this really cute outfit, and she's just she's a beautiful woman, and I was like, wow, this dress is amazing, and it was very colorful, and it just fit her really well.
Mhm.
And it really caught my eye when I walked into Winnie's living room, and here she is sitting on the couch. And so that was one thing for me. I'd been to this dance camp, and there was a t-shirt that I had on called Dance New England, DNE. And it's a big, camp in Maine. So I had this DNE on, and Charlie was like, "Wow, you went to dance camp? That's really cool, D&E." And I had these shorts on, and I was looking good. I have to say. So it was great that I wore that T-shirt because it was kind of a opener in terms of conversation, and Charlie loves to dance, so it was just an opening remark. But
That
I
is,
had no idea the
so how did you,
scheming that
yeah, so
Winnie and Charlie.
went through to get you there, and then you come with a date. So when did your brain start to click and go, hey, wait a second? Was it during that
Yeah.
evening, or was it later the next
Well,
day, or did
I put
someone pull
two.
you aside?
Yeah, I put two and two together, and one of my other friends who was there said, this is kind of a setup, and I was like, well, I wish they would tell me because I am totally out of the loop. I honestly, I had no idea. And sometimes I get into these social situations where things are going on and I'm the last to know. And
Hmm.
believe me, I was the last to know. And it was like, I'm going to this party and Winnie has been talking about me to Charlie for like 6 months and like, oh my God, this guy is amazing and you guys should connect. And her former boyfriend was named Sam. So that was
Oh,
a whole other thing. So, I found that out later.
right.
But it was just one of these magical things that connected us immediately. And it wasn't like this, how sometimes you meet somebody and there's this like magnetic sexual
Mhm.
chemistry.
Yes.
It wasn't like that. It was more of like, oh my, I'm feeling my heart. I'm feeling energy here. And
Mhm.
it was very different than the woman that I had been engaged to, because that we met, at an Omega Institute at this, spiritual
Sure.
workshop, and it was a lot of chemistry, and it was a
Mhm.
real learning for me about being attracted to somebody in relationship that was more on a heart-centered level, not a sexual level, but a heart-centered level, and that was really a growth moment for me, maybe for Charlie too. I don't know. You'd have to ask her, but
Mhm.
there was this just attraction on a heart-centered level first, and then later on, we developed our relationship. But
Sure.
um, but I'll tell you what. One of the things that I did. I mean, I was a little shell shocked. So we started to get involved, and I said,
Wait, let me just ask you, you were a little
okay,
shell shocked
about the last relationship that
okay,
what
so
happened.
right,
And
not
you're
wanting
right,
to step
yeah,
into
not
the
wanting
same
to
thing
get
again.
committed. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, it might be a good idea if we go do some couples care therapy before we get married. And she was like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm all in on that. And that was really helpful to me because we got to know each other and our communication styles. And
Sure.
but that was kind of like my insurance policy to
Right.
just go, okay, I need to know full disclosure here, what's going on. And of course, that worked out well, and it all worked
Wonderful.
out. So
Yeah, did you, and just for our viewers so that they can learn potentially like you have learned, were there any rough patches during this time that, just kind of needed some extra attention or needed a little, a way of working together to
mhm.
be able to move forward? Or was it just smooth sailing the whole time?
No, I mean it was in the big picture. It was smooth sailing. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever you get into a committed relationship, as you know,
Mhm.
there's going to be different needs, and learning how to communicate in a way
Mhm.
where you're not blaming the other person, where you're taking responsibility for your own feelings. And both of us were really fiercely, I'm using the word fiercely,
Yeah.
dedicated and committed to making the relationship work. So we
Mhm.
created a very safe container saying, okay, we are committed. And now within that commitment, things are going to get hard. When you commit, this
Right.
is when the hard stuff comes up. And I
Mhm.
can tell you, being with Charlie for 25 years, there have been moments when it's been challenging, and very
Sure.
humbling for me because we're mirrors for each other. But it's part of the growth, and I think I use marriage as a spiritual practice.
Mm.
It's it's like it's a way I kind of develop myself, and I mean, again, I don't want to speak for Charlie, but um, I really use it as a way to see my my shortcomings and the places where I could communicate better. But what we offer each other is a stability and a commitment. And I can say death do us part. I have no, that's it. No matter what
Mm,
happens, I know that this is it. This is the one. This is it. And in terms of our being with Charlie,
yeah.
and she feels that way to me. So that's very powerful to know that. And then within that, yeah, some days are really hard. I mean, it's
Mhm.
how it is. So,
I do. I
but
do. I
but
think you really hit on it with, though, with your marriage as a spiritual practice. That is
yeah,
just poignant in that
yeah,
how do you, walk the path? And
yeah,
there's so many different spiritual practices. And this one is, I mean, between the two of you, and that you're both
yeah.
committed to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we've got families, my family,
Mhm.
Charlie's family, and we all go through a lot. And so it's a tribe and it's a community, and I'm grateful to have such a community. And there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Thank
one of
you.
those things. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's just really that you two have been together for 25 years says a lot. I mean, that's just
yeah,
really that you are committed and you're there for each other. And
yes.
then the marriage as a spiritual practice is, I mean, that's the
Hmm.
first time I've heard that. And it's
Hmm.
just, it's phenomenal what can come from that with both being committed to this practice and the growth, I would imagine, that comes from that.
Oh, incredible. And some of the business things that I do and professional things that I do, there is no way that I could do the same thing without having her stability and support. Because at least in terms of the social media, I'm the public figure and I'd never talk about her. This is unusual for me, but in this case, I would a little bit. But she's much more private. She doesn't even go on social media. But
Mhm.
as an artist and a musician, there is a public side to her where she has, played for the symphony and performed, and she's a fabulous performer. She's kind of moved away from that at this stage, but what we
Mhm.
do together now is we sometimes will play African music, and there's a
Mhm.
big West African community in Santa Fe, and so every now and then, well, lately the last couple of months, we've been sitting in and jamming on Thursday night, and she's a wonderful musician, professionally trained flutist, but artist, poet, mystic. She's fantastic. So great
Oh,
to have an artist in the family,
yeah.
and it's fun.
That just sounds so rich. It just sounds like what a sweet and rich experience.
Yeah.
And so no, that's just to be able to share at that level is very tender and very
Hmm.
creative. And so for
Yes.
our viewers, how would you help them and just, as far as guidance that you could provide so that they too could follow this path that you're on and that, you and your wife have found to be something that is really nurturing and allows for both of
Yeah.
your growth.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really good question. I think in some ways it's a bit individual, but I would say generally speaking to have respect for the other person, um, figure out what the communication styles that work and
Mm,
what don't work, really dig deep in terms of the commitment. And when you first meet somebody, it's not just about the chemical reaction, the chemistry, the sexual chemistry. That actually should come later. It's more about, the heart centered. What do we have in common? Uh, what can we do to support the other's growth? Like it's not just about me and the relationship,
mm,
but it's about us, and we each have our own individual journey that we need to follow for sure. And then we have the life of the marriage as well,
mm,
and continually defining what is love.
mm,
Love is not necessarily a chemical reaction, but so many things. It could be love, it could be respect, it could be acceptance, it could be, there's a lot of things. we talk about what is love a lot, and she has studied the Sufi tradition quite a bit
Mm,
and reads a lot of Rumi poetry. So Rumi
mm,
talks a lot about what is love. And I was in a spiritual group for a long time, and my spiritual teacher, we really explored what love is from a non-chemical level, but just a lot of different things, and just understanding that you make the commitment, and that's when things get hard, and to keep developing your own personal growth and your own personal development. Because I see this in couples where so part of the couple, one partner is doing therapy or doing some personal growth, and the other one isn't doing anything,
mhm,
and that creates a dead relationship, and we want things to stay alive and dynamic, and the only way to do that is to keep coming back and being vulnerable, sharing deeply, and understanding that sometimes it's going to be challenging, and that's part of the deal. And
mhm.
but there's something really rewarding when you're in a long-term relationship, when it works. And it's work. It's definitely we have to attend to it. You have to continually water the garden, so to speak. It's not something that just goes on its own, because it will die. And you see this in marriages. And so anyway, that's
That's
my short answer. It's not. I'm not a trained therapist, psychologist in the area of couples therapy, but
yeah.
that's what I've learned
Yeah.
as somebody that's been involved for a long time.
That's been involved for a long time. And to keep
Yeah,
redefining love is what I
yeah,
heard, and to be
yeah,
vulnerable.
yeah.
Yeah. And to be, take that place of vulnerability so that you can learn and grow. And I
Hmm.
think also important, you had mentioned that both parties need to be engaged in their own growth so
Yeah,
that there's an
definitely.
aliveness, a fullness to the
Right,
relationship.
right.
That's beautiful. Boy, Sam, thank you. I think words of wisdom for our viewers.
Yay. Good,
So,
good.
hey, I
Right
really,
on.
right on, and so appreciate you being vulnerable to share
Thank
with
you.
us, because I know it
Yeah,
sounds like it's very private, which it is,
yeah.
and it should
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
And it is a private commitment. And then hearing, especially in light of your first situation where it didn't work out, just the
Yeah,
marriage, as you're saying, thank God didn't go forward, but
yeah,
then being able to step into something that was good for you and to
yeah.
navigate those waters. So I think you've really offered that lesson to people that have tried and maybe it hasn't worked out. And then you're actually being very successful through your vulnerability and commitment to the marriage. So,
One of the things I learned about this process is that then when it didn't work out with the gal from Canada, from then on I was going to introduce any girlfriend to all of my friends,
aha.
and they would have to sign off on it, because I
Love
had poor
that.
judgment. I didn't trust my judgment. So
Interesting.
I remember one of my friends said to me when I was going to marry this gal from Canada,
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, I think it's a mistake. I don't think you should do it. You know what? I'm not even going to buy the airplane ticket because I don't think it's going to happen."
No.
Yeah, he did.
Seriously.
Yeah, he did. And I said, "Well, you might be right, but I need to go through this experience." And lo and behold, when she called me up and said, I can't get married. And I called him, he said, "See, I told you." So then I introduced him to Charlie, and he was like, "Yes." And all my friends, all my male friends, especially in Santa Fe, I introduced her to
Hmm.
them, and they were like, "Yeah, she's got it. She's
Hmm.
a good match for you." So that's for anybody out there, if you're thinking about getting married, introduce them to your friends. And, if they're really good friends and they're honest with you, they'll give you this straight answer on whether or not this is a good match, and listen to them. Save yourself a lot of pain and suffering so you don't have to go through what I went through.
That's great. You've given us the straight scoop, Sam.
Yeah, I
We
have. Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Wow.
Through
Yeah.
living the hard challenges and
That's
getting to
right.
the other side. So yeah, be
Yeah.
sure you talk to your friends.
That's
Right.
right.
And that probably could go for girlfriends or marriage or, whoever.
Anybody, girlfriends, boyfriends,
Right.
I accept it all. So
You accept it
whatever,
all.
yeah, gay, straight,
Wonderful.
lesbian, yeah, it doesn't matter. So
Awesome.
I just I definitely vote for marriage if it's, the right situation, because I think it's wild. Want to have personal growth and companionship and fun and the whole thing. It's
Mhm.
really if you find the right person, go for it. And if you don't, being alone is just fine. I remember again that wedding didn't happen. Being
Mhm.
alone and being on my own was very, very therapeutic for me. And
Mhm.
be patient for the right thing to come along.
Mhm. That's another good lesson for sure, because yeah, taking something just because you're alone isn't a good answer. I mean,
No.
it's just not the solution at all. And that
Mhm.
you deserve the best and to have a rewarding and fulfilling relationship, marriage,
Yeah.
whatever it is that fills your soul, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, this has been so wonderful and exciting to hear. Do you have any final thoughts or words that you want to share? And you've already shared so much, but anything that
Well, I would leave you with one question, and that is, what does love mean to you?
uh,
And that would be a great curiosity question dwelling on, what is love? What is love to you? And,
mhm,
because we have so many cultural meetings, so many religious meetings, family meetings, but to be able to develop what is love and, to really, that might give you some clarity on, attracting a partner that will match you in a way that's going to be fulfilling.
mhm. What is love is the question. Great. We will post that along with your interview so that everybody
Okay.
can ponder that and really come to their soul meaning for that.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome,
much. This
Heidi.
has been a rich experience. So
Great
thank
to.
you.
You're welcome. Great to spend time with you, and good luck to you in your future.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Bye now.
Bye bye. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from the eyeclarity podcast show today. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. See you here next time.